Hello, I'm Michael Bybee. Last year's devastating wildfires across Texas focused attention on the heroic efforts of firefighters across the state. Joining us today is Chris Barron, Executive Director of the State Firemen's and Fire Marshals Association of Texas. Chris, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. So,
like I mentioned, last year's wildfires were devastating. Was it 4 million plus acres throughout the state of Texas?
No doubt. Worst wildfire season Texas has ever experienced.
So I know that the Wildfire Relief Fund helps support these volunteer firefighters. And as I understand it, there's 77% of the firefighters in the state of Texas are volunteer firefighters.
Yeah, that's right. 77% of the state is covered by volunteer fire departments, and that's pretty much true for the rest of the nation.
So I would imagine that last year's wildfires had quite a big impact on these volunteer firefighters.
It was a tremendous impact. The fact that it was the worst wildfire season ever was the fact that state funding to these volunteer fire departments was severely cut from $25 million to just $7 million a year, and that money generally was earmarked for fire equipment and personal protective clothing. And when we saw that the state legislature was having to make some tremendous cuts to the budget, and that our grant program that assists fire departments was going to get cut, we had to do something to help these fire departments out, because we kept seeing time and time again where firefighters were fighting fires with no protective clothing on whatsoever, because the normal gear we wear is like wearing a winter coat, and who wants to wear a winter coat in the middle of the summertime?
So what you're telling me, and forgive the naive question, is a lot of these volunteer firefighters, it's on them to purchase the equipment that they need.
Generally, you see that volunteer fire departments rely on funding from either donations, fundraisers, bake sales, and then anything extra that they can't account for, they have to come out of their personal pocketbooks. And 86% of those volunteer firefighters take money out of their personal funds to help buy equipment.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the average equipment that a volunteer firefighter would need. I see here you brought boots, some clothes. Is this kind of the standard gear that a firefighter would use?
This is generally what we see that a wildland firefighter would wear. Now, certainly structural protection and structural gear is a little bit different. It's more heavier. It's a lot more built to withstand heat and safety precautions. So wildland gear is a much lighter weight gear. The boots are different. They're lighter weight. They provide more ankle support. You have a helmet that's lighter weight and also has goggles to keep the embers and debris out. And then the materials itself, the clothing is a lighter weight material. It's like wearing a light winter jacket, but it's made of fire retardant material so that embers falling on a firefighter or just brushing up against brush in the wild is not going to get somebody on fire.
And what is this thing here?
And this is a fire shelter. So if the unfortunate were to happen and a fire department or firefighter was overrun with fire and they get caught out in the middle of something that they can't put the fire out and the fire is moving too heavy, just like what we saw on Labor Day last year.
Right.
They can deploy a fire shelter, and it basically protects them against the fire. And so the fire will basically overrun over the firefighter, and they'll be protected from this little shell that looks like a baked potato.
So this is pretty standard gear for firefighters, yet there's still a need for some of these volunteer firefighters to have this.
This is a standard gear in the sense of it's standard wildland gear. Now, generally, a fire department, especially a volunteer fire department, they spend their money that they get, what limited money they do get, on structural gear, which is the heavier stuff. But we want to make our firefighters last longer when they're out there fighting fire.
Sure.
So we would like to see them in lighter weight gear because, fighting a fire that's hot in itself in 108 degrees heat is not real,
Yeah, you're not out there for 15 minutes. I mean, you're out there for an extended period of time. So I would guess that the Wildfire Relief Fund is always looking for support, donations.
Yeah, so we started up this fund. We have over $1 million worth of outstanding requests that we need to fill, and the state government is of course limited on what they can supply. So this Wildfire Relief Fund will help put firefighters in this type of gear, this protective clothing.
So if people want to contribute financially, donate, what should they do? Go to the website?
They can go to the website, or they can certainly call us and make a donation right online, or send a check in, and certainly a lot of corporations have also started an employee match type of thing.
Gotcha.
And it's greatly helped those fire departments out in need, and we still have a lot of requests to go.
Chris, great talking with you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. To learn more about these fundraising efforts, visit txwildfirerelief.org. For Comcast Newsmakers, I'm Michael Bybee.